I'm so excited because I've actually followed you guys for a really, really long time. Like I think before I had kids. So
Wow.
I know. Um, and I just find you hilarious. So now that I'm a mom, I resonate with a lot more of your content and I love it even more. But a big reason that I feel you're always on my, I don't know, For You page, explore, whatever, is I'm always sending your videos to my best friend about
Mhm.
you guys like kind of co-parenting the kids
Mhm.
together and just like blending your lives. And I'm always sending it to her, being like, this could be us.
Oh no, where does she live?
Well, she does live in New Jersey, so it's
Oh.
fair. Like we spend a lot of time together, but
Oh.
it's like 30 minutes. So it's not as
Oh.
easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are the kids
It's
the
not
same
as
age?
easy. Yes, and they're
Perfect.
obsessed with each other. So it kind of we're experiencing it a little bit, but I don't think to the extent that you all do, which is something I do want to like, I guess, start with.
Yeah.
How have you guys formed the relationship that you have where you are so integrated in each other's lives and like blended these families? And I want to get really specific of like how, what does it actually look like?
Mm. Okay. Well, first of all, how old are your kids exactly?
3.5 and
Yeah.
1.
Okay. So,
Ah,
so
yeah.
really, it all started when we first had kids, right? And the two of us,
Well, we were friends before, and then we became friends with benefits, and then we had kids. No, I'm joking. And then we had kids. So it was
when
like
we started
it's
this.
like it's like you have a friendship, and then you become a mom because not all friends can be moms and friends at the same time. I
Mhm.
really do believe that you have to have a synergy and an open mindedness because can be really frustrating parenting with another person if it's way off on what your beliefs
Yes,
are or if
totally.
someone's really judgmental or really rigid in something. So
Yeah.
I think that we had a foundation of really non-judgmental in high school that led us to sort of a safe place as adults.
Yeah. And I remember when
It was so mature.
what your part?
Yeah, that I just said that.
I know.
A safe place.
It was a safe place to
Yeah.
land. We started sharing secrets.
Yeah, we did.
Felt comfortable.
Yes, it
together.
did. It did. We walked and
just
talked. You couldn't look me in the
shared.
eyes.
No. And I remember that when I had all my girlfriends. Like Kat and I have known each other since ninth grade, but we had separate groups of friends. And both of us in our separate groups of friends were the first to have babies. And I remember my mom saying it's going to be really important that you make friends with people, with new friends with people because who have babies because they'll know what you're going through and your other friends just
Totally.
won't get it. And I was like, no, I'm done making my friends. Like making friendships and bonding with people, it takes a long time to really get somewhere. And I was like, I don't want to start all over again. This is a perfect hybrid of someone I'd known forever, but hadn't like spent all my time with. And then parenting together was just, it really
A
worked.
necessity.
It was,
It was born out of necessity.
Mhm.
And I think that people underestimate that. I think things are different now. I don't know if they're different now, but like motherhood consumed us to the point where we couldn't even leave during nap time because it was such a overwhelming feeling of doing. We were so consumed by motherhood. I've never been so consumed by something in my life where it's all we could think about, talk about.
That's all I thought about. I was completely obsessed with every single like minutia. It's not the word.
Yeah, minuscule.
No, I
and then
think it is.
imagine and a minutia, and then imagine none of your friends have kids, so it's all you can think about, and you're trying to pretend they're like, let's go for dinner at 9 p.m. and you're like, what the hell?
And they're being so nice and thoughtful, trying to include you because they know you're really not one of them anymore, and you're just like, I could never go out. Like, I mean, we learned as the children went on to get better about it, but with our firsts, we were just
psychos.
obsessed. Yeah.
We were like, probably someone should have done something about it because we were really over controlling with the whole like lists. We were the list moms that left lists and lists and lists. And power to any mom who does that, because I think it gives you a sense of control when you're so out of control. And I think we had to. It was so much. It was a safe feeling being with someone who got you in a place where you knew that you could have your kid crying and you didn't feel nervous, or you could ask questions, the same question over and over again. You knew that you had to go home at nap time and it wasn't like, why are you leaving? There was no.
And also
judgment.
like when your kid did like weird or shitty things, it was like, there's absolutely no judgment. And we realize that like if one does something one week, the other one's going to do it the next week. Like nobody's perfect. And
it was never talked about, by the way. We never spoke about how this was going to go.
Yeah.
There was never like a sit down conversation of being like, so what do the next 5 years look like? It really did come out of a place of necessity, I think. And you just begin to see that life is better together with other people. I mean, I know this is going to sound really mean, but I can't believe people do this alone. Like I really can't believe people do this alone every day. And I can't imagine how harmful that would be to someone sitting there and lonely. Oh my gosh, so lonely sitting there doing this every day. Starbucks was my friend. She moved away for a minute and I didn't even drink coffee. And I would walk to the Starbucks to feel like there was people in the world that, I could like, oh my God, there's people. Hi, just to say hi to someone.
Just to see someone other than your four walls and your baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do like, I have siblings that are all having babies now. And I just kind of feel like everybody is cooler about it than I was. And I don't know if they're just, I truly think that because for me, everything probably seemed fine, but inside it was so overwhelming. Maybe that is what it is like for them, but they seem so cool about it. I don't know if things have changed or it was our personalities just to be like that. But
I think maybe it's also they saw you. Like it's
that's what they
novel
say
to them.
I know. They're like, well, I mean, I watched you do it. And if you can do it this many times, it can't be that hard. I mean, yeah, it's true.
I also think everyone has a different struggle in parenthood. And I think that sometimes the taking care of children is what's hard for some people is really easy. And then sometimes the parenting gets really hard for some people. And I think I think babies were really hard for us because we actually love hanging out with kids. We love hanging out with our children.
That's how I feel.
I think babies were so much work, and it's like your brain, and we weren't medicated at that time, and that has helped a lot in a good way. I think if we'd been medicated,
we would have been better
because our brains must have just been overwhelmed.
We were wasting time thinking about the same things over and over again that didn't matter
and obsessing
about it. The other thing is that in Canada, women get 12 months.
Now 18.
Yeah, when you can choose up to 18.
Incredible.
Yeah, and you can share it.
It's good and bad.
That's the thing. Is we were 12 months. Well, 12 months. Our husbands went back to work, and we were the sole caregivers from the moment they woke up. Because now people work from home and stuff, but before COVID, they would go and they would come back like at baby bedtime or after dinner. So really, it's amazing, but it's also you end up being the
worker. You're the full-time worker of the work. Right? Like loving your baby's fun and easy and great. I'm not cut out for all the work of motherhood. I really find it overwhelming. The eating. I mean, when they tell me they're hungry after I just fed them dinner, I'm like, oh my, it's all of the things.
Yeah.
Or what they like, what they don't like, and the appointments in your brain. And, motherhood is a constant cycle of which one needs the attention at that moment, because someone's always slipping and then you have to bring them back up again, and you're always watching, and no one's ever, very rarely is everyone great
at the same time.
They always take turns, and you have and it's not bad. It's just your brain is always like you're scanning the room constantly for the next one to kind of have a emotional growth spurt, or their confidence is lacking, or they're not studying. You're just always, who am I picking up today? Like, who needs me today?
I love how she asked one question. We're going to talk for 45 minutes, but I will also but I was also, because I have so much more to say on that too, is that I was just thinking about her kids, and that they have we have spent with each other's children almost every single day of their lives together. A lot of people don't have that. That's when maybe people have them with nannies. Right. But sometimes nannies leave. I'm not going anywhere.
No, you're not going anywhere. I can't fire you.
It's so crazy that they've had another person in their lives every single day since literally the day they were born. It's
okay. This is what I want to ask about, because that is insane. And also my dream. I'm huge on community. I'm huge on showing up for people. And receiving as much help as you can get. And like, I truly, like you said, Kat, like, I don't understand how people do this alone. And I give them so much fucking credit, but we're not meant to do this alone. So whether it's like my parents, I mean, just right now, my mom was here last night because my husband and my dad are on some golf trip, and she happened to sleep over because I was like, you don't want to be in your house alone. Come hang out with me and the boys. And then this morning, my nanny shows up and she's sick. And I'm like, go home. But the only reason I'm able to sit down right now with you is because my mom now stayed. Like, the village is so important, whether it's family or found or hired. And my friends, I have always said, like, I grew up in a house with a revolving door. I want my house to be a revolving door. People are in and out and always welcome. And you want to drop your kid off for 2 hours so you go do something? So be it. Like, and I can then go drop my kid off another day so I can go do something amazing. Like, I think it's so important to have those people. And I'm curious, like you say, you see the kids every day. Like, legitimately, I want to know, like, are you doing school drop-offs for each other? Are you doing school pickups? Is there a structure? Does it change every day? What does that look like?
It does change every day because now they're at the age that they all have, they're all really involved in sports and extracurriculars. But there's always, if we ever need each other to do a pickup or a drop off, then we're available. And like, two of our daughters dance at the same place, so catch a ride there. Or maybe if she has a hookup for a carpool, I'll use her carpool. You need me to pick up, like, it's just sort of like, it's an extra set of hands, without feeling like you have to really ask for a favor from someone else, because it's not a favor here. It's just, are you available? Can you do that? I can do that for you. And it's just, it's easier having more people to help out.
It's so much easier having more people because two people aren't meant to do this, especially one, but like, it's supposed to be more than two people.
Yeah, I know. Like, other cultures, how like they live with their grandparents, and
there's a reason for it.
It's like they got it together. They all cook together. One cooks for each other. The other one does this. It's like, that makes so much sense. But definitely our cultures don't do that.
No. I've joked about this a lot I come from a very close-knit family. There are 9 grandchildren, 8 of us are girls, and we're extremely close. And even also with the boy, but my mom is one of 3 girls. So like, all of us together, it's a lot of female energy, but we constantly are talking about, like, should we just move to like this large area of land and build a commune? Like, you see it on TikTok, and we've like figured out what everyone's job is. Like, we could do it, and that would be the dream. Which is also why I'm trying to get like all of my friends to move to my town, and I've been somewhat successful in a few.
Girl. Good.
Yeah, I'm like, come,
recruit.
Yep. Exactly. How old are your kids? Because I know that they're older than mine, and I want to get into a little bit of like the parenting teenagers situation.
So the eldest is almost 16, and the youngest is 9.
Yeah, just
and how many are there between the two of you? 7?
4 and 3. Yeah, so 7. She has 4. I have 3, but they're literally every age except for the age of 13 right now. But they're every other age. So
none
9,
of them
10, 11, 12, 14, 15.
Yeah, and no one.
Wow. Wait, she's 15. We have 2 15-year-olds.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Wait, 2 15.
And then none of them are in the same grade. Like, nobody collided in the same year that they were born. And we have 4 boys and 3 girls.
Okay. Which honestly, I feel like that's probably nice to not be in the same grade, because like they have a little bit of their independence.
So they're never on the same teams. They're never on the same school.
It's a dream.
I think that'd be a gift. With teenagers, I'm excited because, like you said, yes, do I love to like cuddle a baby, and are they so delicious, and do I want to eat their thighs? Yes. But I so much more enjoy like interacting with a child. And I'm getting that. Like, my toddler is so verbal, way beyond his years. So I feel like I have that in a 3.5-year-old, and it's so much fun for me. So I'm very excited for the future, even though I'm nostalgic for the present. But what do you find the most fun or exciting part of parenting teenagers?
I think just watching them come into, they constantly surprise you as who they are as people. Like, you're so shocked by who they're becoming. Not shocked, you're just sort of like, you kind of watch everything begin to come together. So you see like little bits of their personality when they're younger, and sort of their best parts of them begin to come out in teenagehood. So when they're younger, you get glimpses. I always say, when you see the best version of themselves, that's who they're going to become, because they definitely go through bad phases. But when you see that like that kid that you have that's like helpful and kind, and that doesn't mean they don't have moments of terribleness for months
or they come home from someone's like weekend away with another family, and they're like, your child, so played, and you're like, what are you talking about? That's your kid. That's the one. That's the one when you're not watching.
And I think they shock you. Like, you're kind of like, wow, like you become in awe of them and who they're becoming as people. And I think that when they're teenagers, they're always changing. And I, they who they are at 3 is not who they are at 6, who is not who they are at 9, is not who they are at 15. And I think if you can just really keep an open mind, they change a million different ways. And it's so cool to watch rather than control. Like, just watching them become who they are, I think, is probably one of my favorite things of who they are. Because I would say the younger ones, like our 9-year-olds, we're mature enough now to know we don't know actually who they are. We're sort of like, I don't know who you are yet. Where I feel like our older ones, you can have a relationship with them because you don't have to just mother them the whole time or parent them. You can interact and relate and have conversations.
And some of those traits that they have are, it's like, you're like, oh, I know an adult that has that trait, and you have it, and it hasn't gone away, and it's staying. And that's going to be a part of like who you are. But yeah, sometimes my older kids are like, what do you think TJ's going to be like when he's older? And I'm like, guys, we have no idea. He's 10. We have absolutely no idea. But as they get older, the thing is that teenagers get such a bad rap because at the end of the day, they're misunderstood because adults are trying to make teenagers think like an adult. There's no possibly way they can because they're not as developed. They don't experience all that. So in a way, it was a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary because that they're going to, try and push away from you, be sassy to you, do all those things, and you can get overwhelmed with it. But when you kind of understand them a little bit more, try to understand what's going on in their brain and their life, and take yourself back, or actually understand that you have no idea what it's like to be a teenager in 2024, then you can be a little bit more forgiving, and then you can wait for the good times and just know those bad times will pass, or help them through it.
Something that helps me with that, just with my toddler, is as someone with ADHD and like overstimulation and anxiety, like when my toddler is having these tantrums, I'm like, dude, you're literally behaving the way I wish I could.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. I want to get on the floor and fucking freak out because my sock is bothering me. I get it. Like, that's how I want to act. But I have the training of like, okay, let me maybe do something differently than scream at everyone. And so that, I don't know if it's empathy or what it is, allows me.
It's coping skills.
Well, it allows me to almost like take myself out of the equation, because I think so much of it is ego in parenting of like, this is making me look a certain way because you don't know how to do whatever, or you screaming is causing people to look at me and then are they question me as mom? When in reality, I'm like, yeah, dude, I want to be doing that too. Like, I get it. I get it. And like helping him through it instead of focusing on like, how am I being perceived in this moment? If that makes sense.
And also, and then on a same note, what'll happen when they're older too is you're like, you have this feeling, or maybe your partner has this feeling, I'm being disrespected by you right now. And I'm not okay with that. I'm the parent here. And you kind of like, you really have to.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. And being offended by your child is like you can't you're not going to hurt my feelings because I'm already grown.
And you're so just a child. You say that because this happened already the other day. He like really hurt my feelings, and I was so like, I'm not gonna lie, a part of me wanted to be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
I obviously didn't. Then another part of me was like, "That really hurt. Like, how is a 3-year-old able to make me feel this way?" And then I was like, "You can't. Like, we can't speak like that." And then, of course, as I mentioned, like the ego comes into play where I'm like, oh my God, are you doing this at school? Like, do they think that I allow you to speak this way? It's a mind fuck. With teens, what is the hardest part?
It's like a push-pull of, wanting them to launch, but not wanting them to launch so far that you're always like walking a tightrope where you're sort of the grass is always greener. You want your kid to be social, but not too social. You want your kid to go experience life so they can get coping skills, but don't experience it too much. You want them to make mistakes, but not too big of mistakes. It's like this, like, I'll never forget, there was someone who was concerned that their kid was always out And then and that she wished that they weren't like that. And then there was another mom on the flip side who was concerned their kid was home too much. And I feel like I've never heard of anyone be like, we have the perfect balance going over here. I think you're just constantly, like it's like bowling, but you want to put the bumpers in, but sometimes you can't. Like they actually have to go into the gutter if that makes sense. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you really want to hold on for dear life. And I think you're just constantly hoping they don't screw up so badly that they end up like canceled for life online, or they make a mistake with, that gets them in so much trouble that it's kind of life altering. And
which we see happen to teens. And, even though people were doing some of these things when we were younger, they weren't documented and then able to be shared for the world to see.
Or come back 7 years later in a situation, right? So I don't know. It's really...
And then also making sure that like you've prepared them, because if they do decide to move away, hopefully eventually that's kind of the goal, that they're prepared. Like, my youngest, I was like, I'm busy. I have dinner for you. Just put it in the microwave. And he goes, I don't know how to do that. I was like, oh my God. Oh. And I go, first of all, you are lying. You are lying. I go, I'm not going to do it. You're going to figure it out. Press some buttons until that thing turns on.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't know how to heat up in the microwave, okay. How are you going to move out? You're 10 years old. Hurry up and grow up.
Yeah.
So like preparing them for all that stuff too. And then, oh my gosh, like, there's so many things like money and responsibility and teaching them all of that.
And you want them to have their own life, but it's so hard to let go. Like it's so hard to not ask questions. And it's really easy to get over involved, and you just don't want to, because you end up helping them cope with their feelings or emotions or situations. It's sort of like you have to let them fall a little bit so that they can figure it out without catching them every time they fall. So, it just does not. And then puberty, and then, oh God, and then relationships, and it doesn't stop. It's amazing.
I have one side thing that I hadn't actually experienced this a lot. This is just something that crossed my mind about teenagers and teaching them how to fall and all that is, I remember when, everybody makes the team, and people are like, oh, that's so like, I didn't really care. I didn't really think about it. And now that I'm actually experiencing old enough and not making the team, I think it's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a great thing to sometimes not make the team, or not make that thing, or, not win the vote and all. Like, I realize now that I have teenagers, like I knew in theory, like both sides, but now it is so good when they have to not always win. That was a side note.
No, I like that. Someone who I love, Dr. Lisa Pressman. I remember seeing a reel of hers that I'll try to find and put in the show notes, but it was like, the fall is here, which means that your kid's either going to make or not make a team or a school play or something. And when you find yourself in these moments, it's really important to take yourself out of it. Don't make it about you. You can be happy for them that they made it, but don't make it seem like it's the most important thing in the entire world, and then put that underlying pressure on them moving forward. And if they don't make it, that's okay.
Yes.
And don't make it that you're sad. Like, let them experience their feelings. And it really sent me back to like there is such a pivotal memory in my life of getting cut from a team, and how that felt for me, but then also how it impacted my relationship with my mom and what that looked like for us. And it's true that like when it happens to the kid, it may be awesome if they're making it. It may suck if they're not making it. But I do think that they remember the reactions and that it does have an impact on like our own internal voice moving forward.
Yeah. And I also like, a lot of kids will make make some excuses for why they didn't make it and have specific examples, which I say to them, you might be 100% right. And you might be making it up to make yourself feel better. At the end of the day, that's life. And sometimes these things are going to happen. And the person who isn't as good as you is going to make it for who knows what reason. But that's just the way it is. Someone else is going to get the job, even though you were way more qualified. You just got to move on, right? You can't sit back and be like, well, that's because he was this and the referee was shitty, like all that. It's like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
You can fight, you can stand up for yourself and you can advocate for yourself, but you can't just say, I was great. And I can't believe they did this to me.
Right. You mentioned at one point being online, and this is something that I have a lot of thoughts on, and I know will be a big topic of discussion in this household. How are you guys managing social media with teens?
Number one, they are more savvy than you, than
Of
all of us.
course.
As the people listening, you do not know better. You don't. You might make better decisions, but the world is happening and that is their world. And I think I really caution parents who are just a no because they don't know. If you don't know the world, don't say no because you don't know it. And you've heard horror stories because it's happening. That's where they're living, and they will find a way to get on there, and they eventually will when they're 16, 18, whatever age. Okay. So I think that we're really neutral in terms of we're on it. What are we going to say? No, you can't go on it. We're on it. Schools
Wait,
are
but can I caveat that?
Yeah.
Because I heard someone say this recently where I went to this thing for Meta the other week about them announcing like their teen accounts. I don't know if that's a rollout in Canada yet.
Yeah.
And someone was saying that because there was a bunch of creators in the audience, and she was like, "What am I supposed to say? Like, I'm on it. It's my job." And I was like, "Yeah, but I drink alcohol, and I'm not going to let my 13 drink alcohol." Like, there are things that like we're allowed to do as parents.
Totally. But I mean, they see us, they watch us, their friends watch us. Like, that's what I say. It's a balance, right? So we are our 9-year-olds on social media? No. Are our 15-year-olds? Yes. So I think that it's who can handle it and who can handle it when. Not every kid can handle it at 15.
Yeah.
Some kids can. And I think that the schools are talking about it. We know they're doing like courses, they're doing digital media, like our schools are doing digital media health. We have them all banned in Ontario during the day at school. I think it's boundaries.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It just says of September. But, I would say that you talking to us about this, and I know it's a big thing for you, that is, if I'm at a dinner party, if I'm running into people on the street, this is the number one conversation. And in a lot of cases, people are turning to us because we have 7 kids and all this, but we literally are like, okay, we've been through, we know the back end, a lot of the apps, we know how to do all of these things. It is confusing. It takes time. We sat and figured it out. So we literally are creating a course right now that people are going to be able to get, that takes them through, like for students like Cat and I, meaning that you're not going to have to read a 1,200 page book, because we would never do that, step by step of how to talk to your kids about it, how to feel about it as an adult, how to go in the back end, step by step of how to put on all these guardrails that is there for parents to do.
And so step by step that it's not like a YouTube video where you have to stop it and then rewind it and then stop it and then rewind it. It's like, no, we have to go back to like page 1, start here, took our ADHD brains and was like step 1.
Yeah.
That here is the picture, circle. Step 2, because it is a really overwhelming thing. And it's really a personal decision, and you can't make the decision because your neighbor's making the decision. You have to do your own research on the why and the what. And right now we have an open relationship with our teenagers. They're making good decisions. We come from the stance of we gave it. I'm thankful that my kids had a phone earlier because they were able to have not social media, very difference between social media and cell phones. Okay. Let's just decipher that right away.
Totally.
And they were able to do group chats where they were making bad decisions, and I could address it as a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old, because let me tell you, if they have an iPad or a computer or any of it, all of the same things, that they all happen on all the same devices. That's what we have to separate, right?
And they're going to do it, or they're going to be sneaky about it.
Yeah. Well, they can still get access to it, even with the computers at school. They can go on chats and go do things. So I'm so thankful that I caught them and was able to reteach, re-guide when it wasn't when they were 15 and it was going to the whole school, right? So,
and they're able to share with us because we know that they're on some apps, some things that they're seeing and things that are happening to their friends and talking through it.
Because your 10 and 11-year-olds are way more willing to share with you than your 15 and 16-year-old. Yeah. And the intel, and I'm not saying go download this, go download that. It's good to see your kids' relationship with technology before you hand over something when they can go download all the apps at 16 years old. In my opinion, it's a relationship. It's a boundary. You have to teach them how to use it.
Education on how to use it.
You need to know how to use it.
They know that we have back end of what they're doing too. And we have
to it. Yeah.
access. And then we also we are able to family tracking. We can see where each other are. And because we have open, honest relationships, they're not like, I'm not letting you, because they do have to like accept it. And so we know where our kids are. And what like specifically we can see exactly where they are. We're not crazy about it because we know that they know where they are. So no one's going to go crazy, or we're going to talk about it first.
Right. No, know where they are. Trust me.
Like
my husband. No,
where?
It's the best part of, I will not lie, like Find My Friends. I have it with a few of my family members, whatever. But the most benefit I get out of Find My Friends is my husband golfs. And I used to be like, hey, how many holes are left? When are you getting home? Like, what's your ETA? And he's not on his phone. So then I would get annoyed of like, I just need an idea. Like, what's the time idea? Because every time he leaves and he tells me, I'll be home at XYZ, like he either comes home an hour before or an hour after or whatever. I know exactly what fucking hole he's on. And I'm like, oh, great. He has 2 holes. Okay, now I can manage. Like maybe I'll start getting them ready so that whatever. It is so specific and amazing because I know the course. So I'm like, oh, I know exactly what hole you are.
Oh, that's hilarious.
We raise you Life 360.
What's that?
It's like
that's what all of our family's on. That's how we track each other. It's like Find My, but like it's like so
because it's so for us it gives you like what's their speed, like are they on a bike and a car and a thing.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, and it gives you,
but it's not weird, and it's actually like it's cute to look at, and they have their little faces.
Well, we have 15-year-olds and they get in kids' cars.
Right. No,
so
I would 100%
you get an alert that's like
kids.
they're going at a high rate of speed. Like you get an actual alert, so you can call and be like, who's driving? Slow down.
But also helps
that's
a lot
amazing.
And if there's an accident, it will like alert you. But also just if you have this many kids going this many places and you're relying on your community to help out, instead of always wanting them to like be on their phone to answer, where are you? How far are you away? Like I can see when they're arriving at school, when they're getting home. So I don't have to like ask them questions. It makes my life so much easier.
No, I agree.
To my husband, like, what rink are you at now? When are you going to be home? We don't have to talk about it. I just look and I know where everybody is.
And I think, sorry, no, you go.
No, I was just going to say, my mom used to track. I remember vividly, like my little sister when she was in college, and my mom would like get up at 3 a.m. and like, she's such an anxious mom, just look and be like, where is she? And we had such an open relationship of like everyone, whatever. It was never like, you can't be out. She just wanted to know. And then she would finally be able to sleep soundly once she was home.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries aren't great in our family, but Lucy's phone would always like put her in the middle of this like river, like body of water by our school for some reason.
But by mine does it's not always accurate.
Yeah, we'd always get screenshots of like Lucy's phone in the middle of some random fucking body of water.
Gosh.
And my mom's like, yet again, Lucy is in the river. Like,
your mom needs Life 360. It will never put her in the river. It'll keep her out of the river.
Oh yeah.
I was also going to say a lot of parents want to go back to how it was, and from my experience, there's no payphones anymore. You're not walking into a store and asking someone to borrow their phone. No one's going to lend you their phone because they think you're going to steal it. You can't go up to a stranger and be like, hey, can I borrow your phone? That's what we used to do. You go into someone's house and be like, oh, can I call my mom quickly? That doesn't happen anymore. And there has been times that our kids have been like, I want to come home, and you're like, okay, I'm so glad you have access, because phones aren't just there anymore. And I think that our worlds have changed. So it's really hard to put them in a world when they can't access you, because there's nowhere to access you anymore. They have to physically get home, where before we could call, there'd be payphones everywhere. You could go and ask the store, hey, can I borrow your phone? But that's no longer.
And if you're uncomfortable in the home, you're not going to go up to the parent of the home and say, can I borrow your phone?
And you can't text them.
Stand right beside you and tell my mom that I don't feel comfortable with you. Like, that's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's so interesting.
There's been times I've gotten a text message at like 11:30, like I want to come home.
Yep.
Like they just send me a symbol, like a little, we have an emoji, and I'm like, okay, I'll make an excuse. I'll come get you.
Yeah. But it is a complicated world. And that is 100% why we are developing this course that's almost ready. And just so you know, because of the people that we'll work with a team who's going to has the skills that we don't have to
Mm-hmm.
put it together and be really
Oh yeah, we did
professional
Snapchat.
and great.
We did Snapchat. We dive deep dive into Snapchat, TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, like everything for everybody. YouTube, all of it.
I
How
said
to
to-
put it on, how to put it on.
My girlfriends are just their girls are just getting phones and they're asking me, I can't go through this with every single one of you.
Right.
Just give me a month and this course is going to be out and all of your questions will be answered. And then we'll all be on the same page and then we'll all know the same things and bad things are still going to happen, but at least you can put the guardrails up so that we've done something to make ourselves feel better about it and made them potentially more safe.
Guardrails are important for every aspect of parenting. You know, like in my stage of motherhood right now, we're not at all dealing with like having their own cell phone, but it's like screen time. Okay. Like I don't monitor it. I don't have a timer going unless I need to be like, okay, we're done in 2 minutes. The timer is on. But we have guidelines in the sense of like, I know getting you to school is a whole different ballgame if you've watched TV before school. So it's just not happening in this household. If you were a kid, that could, you know, I don't know. It's just, you're fine with your toys. I'd rather you use your creativity and imagination in a different way. We don't need TV, but like on a rainy Sunday, you want to sit and watch a full Toy Story and cuddle, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
You know, I think figuring out what works for your family is so vital. I want to ask, because you have teens, do you have tips for any listeners? Most of my listeners have kids around my age because I think that's just how it works when you build your community. Like, what would be your top tip if you could go back and talk to yourself when you had younger children?
Well, it's one of the things that I say, I feel like you have already said that you do a really good job of it by using your community and asking for help. And you didn't say anything specific about making time for your own self, which I don't know if you can. Okay, you do.
Yes.
All of that I never did. And even if I was going to go out and do things, I never trusted anybody to do it as well as I did. And I realize now that people that love your kids or care for your kids are going to get it done. And it's not going to be the way that you're going to do it, but that's absolutely fine.
That's okay.
That took us years.
Yeah. I would, you know, I will always say this. If you think about your own mom and all the non-boundaries and all the like fucked upness that you probably could go back in therapy and talk about, you still probably wouldn't choose a different mom. You would choose the same mom over and over and over again. And I hear a lot of narrative about moms, you know, wishing they were someone different. And I'm like, your kids aren't, be the mom you are, because they're not wishing for someone different. So you're essentially telling them there's something wrong with you by wishing to be someone else, because they love you as you are. And I think that if you can just embrace that and realize nobody's perfect and that's okay. They want you, like, just be you and enjoy the moments and stop trying to wish to be someone different, because I just think we just really ruin so much of motherhood by not like criticizing ourselves and beating ourselves up and overthinking and
comparing to other moms.
Yeah, I just,
so much
comparison. I just think we have to let it go, and you want to enjoy it and not think about what you didn't enjoy, because they're not going to remember much. They're just going to remember how you made them feel. That's it. They won't remember the cakes. They might remember the one. That's it. They won't remember a present you got them. Like, my kids could not name a present I got them, but they'll remember every day when they walked in the door, how you made them feel. Just smile. Were you happy? And laugh. Like, just laugh. Let them hear you laugh, because I don't think as moms, I think we're always managing. And I think that if they can see you have fun and let go, that is something that will live with them forever.
And be able to show that you can have fun while they're around.
Yeah.
The fun just doesn't happen when you're not with them. That you can have fun.
Don't be fun. No fun dad. It's fun mom.
Yeah, I just actually did a Substack piece that went out this morning of like, you know, that TikTok trend of like things I don't care about as a mom. I don't know if it's like all over my algorithm. And I like rounded up 5 things that I just like simply do not care about, whether it's like cursing or like getting dirty, whatever. But I also did like 5 things I do care about. Like, I wish I was someone, not really actually, but like, I know that there are people who have so much flexibility with their schedules and they don't care what time their kids go to bed. Like, that's just not me. Like, yes, there are times where it's going to look different, but like, I do care about them sleeping at a certain time, whatever.
Mhm.
And one of the main ones was like the thing I care about and prioritize the most in our household that my husband and I actively like do is having fun.
Mm.
Like we've been together since we were 15. So I think there's this like childlike wonder in our relationship almost
Wow.
because we were together so young. And our first reaction, I don't know if that's the right thing, but like is to be silly, especially with the kids. And I love how much fun we have in our household. It is one of my favorite things of parenting. And like one of the things I'm proudest of the two of us is like what a fun home we've created. Cause I think it's so important for kids
I
to
want to
have
move in.
fun.
That sounds
Come on
great.
over. Come on
Sounds
over.
fun.
It's freaking fun in our house. Stuff it.
That's us.
Yeah.
I know. Our kids
Okay,
even
wait.
know. Our kids even
Yeah.
our teenagers now know. Like it, our friends like you being around you guys because you're fun.
I know.
Exactly.
I
And
have a kids who are like, this is my favorite house. I'm like,
Mhm.
I love that you say that.
no
Mhm.
kinder words. No
Mhm.
kinder words.
Yeah.
I do a segment on the show called Filling My Cup because now, as you mentioned, of like, it's really important to make time for yourself. I'm a huge proponent of that. I talk about it all the time. Like it's one of my pillars of content, whatever, because I think for my first in postpartum, I didn't understand that. I leaned so heavily into like, I have to do everything. I have to be the one. If it's not me, it's not perfect, then it's not right. And that's not, I think, how we're meant to parent, especially as moms, but it feels like we are.
Mhm.
So after going through like bouts of postpartum depression and anxiety and just not feeling myself, I really prioritized pockets, whether it was 5 minutes in the morning or a weekend away with my girlfriend. So I'm curious, how do you guys fill your cup? And I would love for you to be as specific as possible.
Natalie?
We love traveling together, the two of us.
Love.
And staying in hotels with nice bars so that if you don't have to go very far for the fun, you know what I mean? Like it's not like when we go to cities, we're like checking out all the hot spots. It's like if it's within like 5 minutes or it's downstairs,
Even better.
love that. Love
feel
people.
like that it was so me who I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me on you, but you like it.
I
Thank
know.
God. Thank God we like that.
I know.
We learned that.
I know.
I have a problem. I love like really nice hotels. Like I cannot.
Why is that a problem?
Just because I'm not flexible in that. I'm not flexible in you're
people
really
have
flexible.
People have put us up in like hotels and stuff, and she'll literally walk in and walk out.
It's
and
bad.
I'm like, but it's free. And she's
I'm
like,
not,
we are not.
And I'm not a snob. It's like I'm away. I appreciate our time away so much that I want every moment to feel like just amazing because we don't do it a lot. So to me, it's like our biggest luxury. And I think it's what keeps our relationship alive, Natalie. I think it really.
And then she lets me choose. Like she's like, okay, well, I have nothing to do. If you want to like go to a restaurant or whatever, because I love like like good chefs and good food. And she's like, I don't really care about it, but I'll come along with you.
I'm like, you want to try 7 things? Let's order 7
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
It's just. I think that prioritizing our friendship and having like doing these things is so important, and that probably immediate family is always complicated. And I mean, in the best way, just because often it's you and all your kids. And it's like, it's amazing. It's a different cup filling. But if you're talking like individually, it's often, there's no more pure fun than when you're with a friend and there's no sex involved because, sex can sometimes complicate things. But when it's just you, each other, and you just go to your own beds and get cozy, and it's just like, we just laugh and have fun and there's no issues. It's just perfect.
And then like that's one thing we do for us. The other thing that we love is like if the two of us are sitting there and we're surrounded by those 7 kids and they're all just talking, and it's like we look around and we're like, oh my gosh, like we have been doing this.
Vacation specifically. We like went on vacation with them.
Even just like sitting in your backyard and everybody's there. And it's like, we've been doing this for 16 years. All these people have been in each other's lives. You're getting so big and tall now. And you're so funny and cute and fun and smart and interesting. Just like just having them all around us is like, it's such a bucket filler.
Yeah, it's funny. They're funny. They're funny kids.
Funny.
I love that. And I just want to ask also, because you brought up sex, and I love that you guys openly discuss.
And she's like, and I love sex.
Oh, I love sex. And I also talk
does.
about it. Who doesn't? I talk about it a lot because I feel like I was raised in a very like sex positive, let's discuss it household that I just feel very comfortable talking about the topic. And so I love that you guys do as well. Do you have tips? Because this is something I talk about a lot with my community after having kids of like, where the fuck did the spice go? Like, when are we ever going to have sex again? What does our sex life even look like? You know, all of that. Do you have advice for how you have kept that aspect of your relationship alive after children?
I love that you think we have tips on that. I need to send me the episode that you do this on because I
Okay, or do you not have tips?
Oh my gosh.
Or are you like, I need tips?
here's what's going to happen. I'm going to let you guys all know. You should do this as a teenager because your kids don't go to bed anymore. So they're up later than you and they're walking into your room at all times. And so,
and we don't about that.
Yeah. And we don't have like east wings, like our kids, like where our bedrooms are, we could hear like where both same house, like houses can hear each other talking quietly.
So just imagine that how comfortable, how sex positive are you if your 15-year-old walks in and you're giving daddy a blowjob, right?
I heard my parents having sex. Our walls.
So you are very sex positive. So
I don't like that, but I knew it was happening.
What? Like,
and I've walked in on them having sex.
So you could do that. Maybe that's something to think about.
I don't know if I could with my own kids because I didn't love that as a kid.
I can't believe you more. It wasn't.
We need to put this on our podcast. We need to
when we all lived in a house together during COVID because we we were going away and then we were stuck there. So we were all in my parents' house. And I remember my mom sitting down and being like, okay, so we need to make sure that everyone still has act like they feel comfortable having sex whenever they want. So don't forget, if you guys want to leave, because it was like us and our partners, if you want to leave and like go to your room for a bit during the day, don't worry. You do that. Like we will be doing that. And I'm like, my poor husband is just like, why the fuck are we doing this?
It's like
we
can have sex.
Is your mom a doctor?
Stop talking about it. No.
Oh gosh, that kind of sounds like a psychologist.
No, it's not from that. It's just like if anyone asks her for marriage advice, she will always talk about sex. Like to a point where I'm like, can you please
how does your dad feel about it?
Great. He's getting laid all the time.
I mean, I'm sure he loves it. He knows not to talk about it with us because it'd be one thing. I actually had this conversation with a friend recently because her mom and dad were divorced and her mom started dating. And she was like, it was so fun to talk to her about her sex life because it wasn't my dad. And I was like, that's so interesting. I feel like I could talk to my mom about sex and like hear things from her if it wasn't with my dad.
Fair.
Do you disagree?
I feel like you're hearing about it even with your dad. So either way, it's all around you. Yeah, no, I know.
No, I am, and I don't want to.
It's hard. It is hard when your kids are older, and it's like your brain has to. You just very hard to let go. Like it's very hard to not think that someone's going to walk in the door at any second, and you have to face that person the next morning.
And they have,
but they were younger.
Yeah, hopefully they have no memory.
I actually will tell you a story to close this of like how this isn't showing a sex positivity of my household, but it really puts everything into perspective and like lays it all on the table. We were in high school. I think I've told this story on like TikTok maybe, but in high school, my husband and I were dating and my parents' house was like 2 minutes away from our school. So like during senior year, free periods, you could leave school. And we had a free before lunch on this one day of the week. So we would leave, go pick up lunch, and then go back to my house and like hang out for an hour. And we weren't like sneaking around. It was very like known that we were doing that. And my mom was home. So we get home and we're eating lunch and we had like a housekeeper and we were talking with her and I'm like, is my mom here? She's like, yeah, she's in the other room on a phone call. I was like, okay, whatever. We finish lunch. We go upstairs. We're in our room, like hooking up, which like, again, I don't know, whatever. We're in high school. You're just like horny, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're fooling around and I look at the phone and it used to have these like lights when someone was on the line and I see that the light wasn't on anymore. I was like, oh shit, my mom's off the phone and I hear her coming up the stairs. So we like stop because she was probably going to come in and be like, what's up? Are you going to be here for dinner? Or are you going to go to Joe's house? Whatever. She doesn't come in. And I'm like, that's kind of fucking weird. And then all of a sudden the door opens and that woman does not have one fucking piece of clothing on her. She is ass naked. And walks in my room and is like, what are you doing here? And Joe is just like literally like shoving pillows on his face, so embarrassed. And I'm like, why the fuck are you naked? Again, we grew up in a very, like, my dad was not naked in front of us, but we were all naked. I'm one of 3 girls. Like, there's no
Yeah.
whatever the word is. It was nudity everywhere. And I guess she like was getting in the shower, wanted to check my Wi-Fi. I have no fucking idea. It
Check
didn't,
my Wi-Fi.
like the router was in my room and I guess it wasn't working. So we go downstairs and she's like, do not tell anyone about that. I'm mortified. Joe, I am so sorry. And he's like, I will never talk about this again. And I'm like, neither will I. She calls my dad. She's like, I walked in on Cammie and Joe naked. And he's like, Cindy, I don't want to hear about this. Like, I don't need to know about Cammie being naked. She's like, no, I was naked.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
So now
Imagine
her
you were all
favorite-
naked.
no, it's her favorite story to tell now because she loves the people's reaction of like thinking that we were having sex and naked. So that's the kind of house I grew up in. So if you think you
amazing, though.
scar your kids and their significant others, just
I mean, you
remember that
guys
story.
seem fine.
You seem great. I mean, it seems like it's working out for you. I need to talk to you then when your kids are 15 and walking into the room and whether or not you're still making noises.
I know. No, that like I get that. I even say like a lot of our friends have au pairs in our town. It's like very common. And I said like I couldn't ever do it for the simple fact of I don't think I could have sex comfortably knowing that someone was right there.
There you go.
There you
Thank
go.
you. There. So now we need to change the narrative of is it scarring your kids if you have sex with them in the neighborhood, in the house beside you?
Don't worry about the kids, but worry about the au pair.
I mean, that does feel different. I don't know. Okay, well, this was amazing. Thank you guys so much for coming on. For people who want more of you, where can they best support you?
Cat and Nat.
Cat and Nat everywhere. And make sure that you follow the Common Parent, which is our parenting platform, which is not comedy, but it is where you'll be able to get the course when it comes out, which will be out in the next month. And it is, if you subscribe to the newsletter, you'll be alerted when it comes out because it is going to be probably
epic.
The most valuable piece of education that you can have if you have teenagers and you're considering a phone or social media.
Exactly, Natalie.
Okay, everything will be in the show notes. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.